You may be wondering right about now, what in the world an adoption story of a little girl from China has to do with helping underprivileged kids in Uganda. But here's my goal. My goal is that before we leave today, you'll get it. That you'll see the connection. That you'll see that adoption, this concept of adoption, is the hope of all the kids in Uganda, and all the kids in China, and all the kids in America, that you'll see that this concept of adoption is really my hope, and your hope, and the hope of the whole world. Now, I want us to flash back just a couple of months to that time period between the election on the second Tuesday of last November and Inauguration Day at the end of January. And our then president-elect was always going on tour, and he was talking about his different policies and reforms and the various things that he wanted to do. But he got on one particular topic that absolutely created a firestorm of conflict and it put all of America on edge when he suggested that he get involved with determining whether we could have a NCAA college football playoff system. Oh, that's where all of a sudden the chatter began. Now we're talking about sports. And I remember, because I get most of my news from a cable network called ESPN, this one, they made a really big deal about it. I remember one commentator in particular saying, come on now, what in the world is he doing in this area? Doesn't he have more important things to do, like, I don't know, the economy and terrorism and the failing banking industry? Why does he have to suddenly make this political and just make it all the more complicated? A similar question can kind of be asked about the Christian involvement in Uganda. Why do we need to be there? And in particular, why do we, a local church with limited people and limited resources, why do we have to get involved in what's going on in Uganda? After all, there are dozens of international relief agencies on the ground there right now. There are dozens of nations around our world that have sent teams of people to orchestrate relief in Uganda. There are tens of millions of dollars that are flowing to Uganda every single year. And in light of all that, why do we have to get involved? Now, some may say this. They may say, well, here's why. Because in spite of all the people and all the money, the need is still great. And that's true. The needs haven't come close to being met. But others would put it this way. They'd say, but wait, why do you have to do this Christian thing? Why can't we just leave religion out of it? Why can't we just get behind the other agencies that are already there? Why do you Christians always have to do the religious thing? Because doesn't that just bring conflict and hard feelings? And why can't we just leave religion behind and go help somebody? That's the question I want to try to answer this morning. Why the Christian church needs to be there. You see, we can look at the problems in Uganda several ways. And depending upon how we look at the problem, it will determine how we are compelled to solve the problem. Some people look at the problems in Uganda as merely material problems. In other words, there's poverty, and that's a problem. And there's disease, and that's a problem. And there's crime and injustice, and that's a problem. And there's illiteracy, where people can't read, and that's a problem. And some people look at the situation in Uganda, and what they see are individual needs. And what they're compelled to do is to send physical relief. I mean, after all, if what we have poverty problems, send money. Send clothes, send food, send building supplies. Do that. And if you got a disease problem, send doctors. Send medicine and fix the problem. And if you have illiteracy, send money to build schools and hire teachers. And if you have a crime problem, send money in order to hire more policemen and build more jails to stay up on top of things. So some people, they see material problems. And they feel compelled to send physical relief. This is a good thing, because it's needed. But then there are other people, and this is not how they see it. Oh, they see the poverty and the disease, and they see the crime and injustice, and they see the literally. But they're going, those are just fruits. And fruits don't just hang in the air, right? Fruits, for the most part, they grow on a tree. And somehow, what we have to do is we have to fix the tree and make the tree healthy so that we can have better fruit. And these are the people who basically see everything as an educational problem. Yeah, we need to send money to have poverty and medicine for disease and money to build schools and build jails and hire policemen and teachers and all that kind of stuff. But look, here's what we've got to do. We've got to educate people. We've got to teach them how to care for themselves, how to dig wells and get clean water, how to build an educational system, how to deal with pressing sociological and economic issues. And if we do not teach them how to do this, we can throw all the money and all the items at them, and it won't do any good. And the mantra of the people who see it primarily as an educational thing and not a material thing is just this. You know, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. But teach a man to fish and you what? Feed him for a lifetime. Now I look at that and I go, duh, of course. That is so smart. And so these individuals are driven to teach and educate and mentor and inform so that the people can take ownership into solving their own problems. But here's the deal. We are all witnesses to the fact that knowing the right thing to do doesn't really solve the problem. And you know how I know we're all witnesses? Because of the number of times in your life and my life, we have known the right thing to do, but couldn't muster up the moral energy to do it. We knew what the loving thing was. We knew what the peace solution was. We knew the right course of action. We knew what was fair, what was just, what was right, what was loving, what was giving, what was serving. We knew it, but we didn't do it because we didn't have the internal horsepower to get it done. On the flip side, we know that there are things that are just unloving, divisive, hateful. They're not just, they're not right, they're not pure, they're not good. And yet we feel this strange, quirky tug to do it anyway. Can you relate to what I'm saying?